So you got the bag, you got the baits. Now what do you do with them? We're gonna talk about that today. What's going on, you guys? I'm Jeff with Burley Fishing here on the Monster Bass channel. On this channel, we have all sorts of awesome creators dropping content every single week to help put you on your next PB, to help you catch more monster bass. So be sure to subscribe, smash the like on this video, and ring that notification bell. And then you can also hop over to my channel, Burley Fishing, if you wouldn't mind, and throw me a subscribe as well. I appreciate it so much, and I'd love to see you there and talk to you in the comments more. So let me know you came over from the channel. Now, with this here bag, you get all sorts of baits. And that's cool and everything, but if you're not quite sure how to fish with these, or you haven't fished with some of these before, you're gonna wanna get some ideas rolling, and I'm here to help you out with that. So it's a little series we've been trying to drop monthly on how to use all the baits in this bag to give you the best luck. So we're talking rigging, we're talking gear, we're talking where to fish it and how to fish it. So let's get into it. So right off the bat, this is not a full unboxing video, but I'm gonna show you all the baits that you might see. Now, bear in mind that I am in the Midwest Great Lakes region, so these are what would come in my bag. Now, if you are in a different region, you might get a few different baits. But that's the cool thing about Monster Bass, is that you get that variety. So let's take a look at what I got in my bag this month for the August 2021 bag. First of all, we got the new MB stops. So these right here are pegs that you would put on your line to stop, I don't know, maybe this monster bass tungsten weight from sliding up. So if I'm fishing in grass, oftentimes I'm gonna peg this weight, and we got some plastics we're gonna use with that here in a second. And then you're gonna need some hooks to rig those plastics up with and to jack some jaws. These right here are Mustads, some of the best hooks on the market. These ones come in red. By no means do you have to use red, but it's pretty cool that you get some variety here. So we got some EWGs in a 3/0 size. To pair with those, we actually get two plastics options. So we can flip some sick X-Zone adrenaline bugs. This in a downsize black and blue, which I think is cool. These ones are 3.5 inches. A little bit smaller, a little more finessey, perfect for my region. And then we got the 13 Fishing BFF. This is the blunt force finesse. Gosh, I love that term. I always talk about like being subtly aggressive, and this aligns with it. Aligns with my mentality towards fishing. So I like that a lot. This is also a pretty cool color. It's called the Royal Irishman. We'll get an up close look here in just a second. And if the plastic game isn't working, don't worry, we got a whole bunch of body baits. So we got the Rocket Shad from Bait Labs, sort of a shallow diving crankbait. We've got some topwater action with the brand new TB115. This one coming from Arc. That thing is juicy. We got the good old classic here, the Strike King Pro Model crankbait in a natural color. And then we've got the Midwest Special white and chartreuse spinnerbait with white painted blades. That's freaking cool. And I mean, you know, they say it all right there. Fish bite it. Yes, they do. So we're gonna talk about rigging all these right now. Let's get to it. Okay, so I'm gonna start on the bottom first with these plastics. So for demonstration purposes, we got some mono filament line here. Often you're gonna be flipping with mono, or you're gonna flip with straight braid. So what you're gonna do if you're rigging up these worms or these bugs that we're gonna be flipping around is you're gonna take your stops. So all you gotta do to get one of these stops on your line is slide your line through the little metal piece here. Then we're gonna pull that stop onto the line. Boom. Leaves a little kink in the line, that's fine. We're gonna clip that, that'll be our tag end. But there's our stop right there. From here with that stop, we're gonna slide it up a little bit. We'll take our weight. This is a 3/8 ounce tungsten coming from MB. We're gonna slide that up on the line just like so, leaving us enough room to tie a knot, which we're gonna tie to our Mustad hook. So I prefer, if I'm flipping, to go ahead and throw a Palomar on this thing. It's a nice strong knot that's pretty easy to tie. So what you're gonna wanna do is double your line through the eye of the hook there. Make sure you got enough room for a nice tag. Just make it easier for yourself to tie this thing. So once we got our line through there, you should get that kind of loop. We're just gonna bring that line around itself and just pull it right back through there. I like to pull that straight so I don't get any kink in that knot there. And then we're gonna take our hook end and just push it right back through. Okay, from here, we're just gonna pull all the main line straight, And then we're gonna have a nice, juicy little knot right there. So now our weight can sit right on top of the hook. We're gonna go ahead and clip our tag. So you take your fancy scissors or whatever you have that you clip tags with and clip it. And now we got a nice, clean knot at the end of that hook. So from here, it's gonna look just like that. We're gonna take our peg, slide it on down. There we go, we're all set. Now we gotta rig some plastics. So let's take a look at that blunt force finesse. Look at this juicy color. Oh my gosh, it's a galaxy in here. So we got blues, silvers, purples. The bottom side is a little more translucent, if you guys can catch that. See the little 2-layer there? The top side's a little bit darker. And that dark side there has more of the gold and green and black flake to it. So that looks good. The thing I love about the 13 Fishing BFF is that it's got it's got a lot of stretch to it actually. And it has these pre-rigged holes right there. So that's your guide as far as, you know, whatever size hook you're throwing. Bigger hook, you're gonna be coming through the pre-rigged holes further down. Smaller hook, you're gonna be coming through further up. These are pretty gosh darn durable plastics and they're really easy to rig. So if we're gonna just Texas rig this, then we're gonna go ahead and go through the top like so, punch out through the bottom. I like the flat side sticking out. We're gonna go ahead and slide our bait all the way up. Again, flat side pointing to the back of the hook here. And then we're gonna take tip of that hook, we're gonna come back towards the bait like so. So I like to just roll it up and then punch her on through. And you can see we came right through one of those pre-rigged holes. So we're in a pretty good spot. From here, we're just gonna Texpose. So we're just gonna like tuck that hook end right in there. And now we got a nice flat presentation. This is a pretty sweet trick worm, so you got more of the larger tail end here. So you're gonna get a ton of action flipping this thing around. I think all in all, that is a good finished product and it's gonna look juicy and fish are gonna eat it. So that's option one. And again, this is just going with what came in the bag. I have my terminal box. I don't even need to dig into it. So next thing we're gonna do is look at our X-Zone Adrenaline Bug. Be sure to break that tail apart so you get all of the action that you deserve. Check your hook. So this is a pretty large hook for this plastic. That said, you can rig it this way. So we're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna Texas rig it. I might recommend switching to like a 2/0 flipping hook if you have the option. If you're just going with what's in the bag, then you can get this done. So we're gonna do a little shorter Texas rig. So you're not gonna go in as far into that head because you'll run out of room at the base. Same thing, we're gonna roll that bait up. We're gonna try and go into the middle, near the bottom here of that bait, push on through, and it looks like we can just fit this thing on here, so that's awesome. From there, same thing, we're just gonna tuck the hook. Boom. Again, flipping hook, 2/0 might be better on this, but we're gonna roll with what's in the bag. There we go. So we've got our nice flipping setup with a bug ready to rock. Setups for these, my preference would be to go with like a 7.3 medium heavy. My personal arsenal, I'm looking at my Akuma Psycho stick. I think it's an extremely strong rod. It's very sensitive, very light, very fun to fish with. So throwing that 7.3 allows me to get that castability with 3/8 of an ounce right here on that weight. I can just bling that thing up over them there mountains and put this where it needs to be. Or I can flip docks with it really easily as well, even from a kayak, which most of the time I'm a kayak fisherman. If you're fishing from the bank, it allows you to get those long parallel casts when you're looking at structure. If you see wood, flip to wood. If you see structure, flip to that structure. That's where you want to put this. It's very weedless, so you're going to be able to fish it around that structure really well. And then for the leader, I'd recommend going with like a mono leader, or if you have full-on mono spooled up on your reel, totally fine, or just go straight braid, especially if you're dealing with dirtier water. You're going to get away with it. You're going to be fine. The fish are still going to bite, but mono might be a good choice. Get a little bit of stretch into it. Fluoro doesn't do good with abrasion, so if you have fluoro on the leader and you flip into cover, you might be in trouble. That could break off. As for the reel, you can go with anything with like a mid-range gear ratio, so like a 7.3 to 1-ish. Anything around that range is good. You want to have a little bit of drag so you can fight them out of the tough stuff. So if you've got 15 pounds plus of drag, you're probably in a good spot. So for me, any of my flipping setups are paired up with something with that 15+ pound drag, something like my Abu Garcia Zada. I'm a big fan of the Akuma Komodo SS. That is a fantastic reel for the money, or an Abu Garcia Revo SX. All of these things are great. So any of those, I think they got the power, nice gear ratio. They're in that $150 to $200 range. So maybe check some of those reels or those rods out if you haven't seen them already. Another rod option for me would be like a St. Croix Bass Axe. I think that's a good like budget rod for flipping as well. Heavy duty rod, it does well. Okay, so we still got 4 other baits. Let's talk about these. Start with our cranking baits. So we got that pro model, deeper diving, and then we got the shallow diving with the Bait Lab Rocket. All right, so first up, we got that Rocket Shad. So if you're looking for shallow diving, you're looking in that like shallower water column area and you're around cover, you're around grass, this can be a great option. So right here is gonna dive only about 4 to 5 feet. So let's start with that Rocket Shad. We've got a real subtle, almost no sound whatsoever, almost a silent, very little sound, minimal sound to this thing. You're diving like 4 to 5 feet. You got a clear water type presentation with this natural like perch color to it. And it's got a little hint of red, which is good. This thing looks pretty juicy in the water. It is floating. So it's one of these types of baits that you want to like reel down on, get it a little deep, let it float up. Kind of like a dying bait fish or a wounded fish, something that would be easy prey for a bass. This thing I would be trying to deflect off of cover, got a nice wide lip to it. And I'd be throwing on a cranking setup. So if you can get a cranking specific rod, that would be ideal. Personally for me, I love my Akuma Guide Select. It's a 7.6. It is a moderate action, which is awesome for cranking. It means that that rod is bending more towards the middle to lower part of the blank, which allows you to really work the fish a lot better and more efficiently. And when you're dealing with treble hooks like this, it means the fish pop off less. It's way harder for them to shake the hook. So that is ideal. Something like this size, perfect prey. The bass are gonna munch on it. It's fantastic. So go for docks, go for rocks, go for cover, deflect as much as you can. You wanna run this thing in shallow water. As for that pro model, we're diving much deeper and we have a nice wide lip to that thing. I like this, again, more of a natural color. You got that red gill, natural color there. This is cool, the tail highlight. So when this thing is wobbling, that's basically a tracer round. It's creating like a nice little color path in the water. So it looks good, it's gonna draw bites. It's quite a bit louder than that Rocket Shad. So again, stained, clearer water presentation. With crankbaits, you wanna run them down. You wanna get to the bottom and you want this thing bouncing and deflecting off of cover as much as possible. So if you're in that more 8 to 10, maybe even 12 foot range, that's when you're gonna bust this baby out and start throwing this around. Again, go on the cranking setup, something, a longer rod, 7.6, 7.10, something longer like that so you can cast this thing way out there, and moderate to slow action on that rod so that you can really work the fish and give them less of an opportunity to shake you, because that is no fun. It is really heartbreaking. It sucks. As far as the reel, when it comes to cranking, I personally prefer a slower gear ratio, something like a 6.6 to 1. So I've thrown them on my Shimano SLX DC in a 6.6 to 1, or I've thrown them on my Akuma Saros reel, which is a nice budget reel actually. So somewhere in that range. If you're looking for a good reel, just go like lower gear ratio, go with, you know, the Abus, the Shimanos, the Akumas of the world, and just pick your poison, pick your preference. As far as line, you can have a braid backer, but I would definitely prefer a fluorocarbon leader when I'm throwing cranks, and this bad boy right here, that steel shad. So think about throwing on like a 12, 15, 17, 20 pound fluorocarbon leader, depending on what depth you're trying to get to, as well as what type of cover you're dealing with. So go with the heavier test if you're dealing with some pretty bad cover. You got lots of like laydowns, logs, timber, stuff like that. And rocks especially, that fluoro can break up. Or if you're going after huge fish. This right here is probably one of my favorite lures to throw. Up here in the Midwest, spinnerbait's just straight bang. This is a fantastic one coming from Steel Shad. I love that we have the painted blades. So as these are spinning in the water, that's gonna just look way different maybe than what anybody else around you is throwing. And sometimes that's what it takes. Throw something that looks different. With this setup, we got a nice stout wire. So this is gonna be pretty strong. It's gonna hold up really well. Got an awesomely molded jig head that looks beautiful. Nice eyes on that too. Got the white and chartreuse skirt, and got a really well done molded bait keeper right there. So I think that's fantastic. Nice stout hook on it. You could throw a trailer hook on this. Lately, I've been going no plastics. So I'm throwing spinner baits just straight, either like this or maybe tag on a trailer hook. If you're getting short struck or you're missing them, you're getting hit, but you're not catching fish, consider throwing on the trailer hook. It can make a big difference. As far as the setup I throw this thing on, I'm looking for a higher gear ratio, either that like 7:3 to 1 I was talking about, or even a higher gear ratio than that, like an 8:3 to 1, 8:2 to 1, whatever type of reel you can find in that format. I have an SLX that I love that I changed out the bearings on from spool speed, and that thing will cast super far, and it's a higher gear ratio. And I actually just built a sick setup from Lew's. So I got the Lew's custom speed stick, which is phenomenal. I'm gonna do a review on my channel, so if you guys wanna see more about that or any of these new Lew's products, I picked up a Mock Crush. Hop over to my channel and check that out. It's coming soon. Also, I paired that up with the Tournament MP reel from Lew's, which is insane, absolutely insane, beautiful reel. But that's in that higher like 8-level gear ratio. So I can really burn stuff like spinnerbaits and chatterbaits really well. And I built that combo specifically for spinnerbaits and chatterbaits. So it works really well with that. Same for the line, braid backer, go for the fluoro leader. It just works better and it gets the bait down there. If you want to burn it and stay higher in the water column, you can go with mono. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, dealer's choice at that point. Finally, we got topwater. This right here, this Arc topwater is a blast. I've actually gotten a chance to fish this a little bit. So this is more of a pencil popper. You've got the scooped mouth there, so you can pop this a little bit like a smaller size popper, what you're used to. But it's a pencil bait, so you can also walk this thing. You got 3 trebles. There's actually 2 tied up here off the back. And I love it when companies do this. They kind of take care of their product and it looks good coming out of the box. So we got 3 nice, sharp, high quality hooks here on this thing. You're coming in a bluegill pattern, kind of translucent, pretty shiny. It's gonna look good on the surface. This is what fish are seeing from underwater. So that's nice and shiny and bright and vibrant. And again, you can walk this thing really well. So we can just sort of twitch the rod, pop it to the side, pop straight down, you can pop up. This thing walks amazing. It's well balanced. So you're not getting that thing where it comes up out of the water and just shoots off to the side like crazy. You've got a split ring on there as well, so that makes it easy to tie onto. And with this, we're talking topwater, so we're talking monofilament line. You want a floating line. So typically with something like this, I'm gonna go with a mono leader, or you rig it up to a reel that you have spooled up all the way with mono. And that is gonna help give this thing the action that it was made for. So highly recommended. If you're having issues with walking baits, topwater baits, pencil baits like this, switch to mono. Maybe add a loop knot, so we can tie a loop knot to this as well, and that works really, really well. But again, this thing is well balanced. It's got a good weight transfer system. Can confirm, I casted this thing way further than I should have, all the way into somebody's yard, and may or may not have gotten carroned at that point, but it casts really far. So you can put this thing where you want, and with something like a walking bait, you kind of want to do that. Just get it out there and then walk it back nice and slow, and you're gonna get blown up on. Topwater treble baits, I typically go for more of a medium heavy versus a heavy. We don't want, I'd even maybe go for a medium. You want to like go lower on the power because we don't want to rip those trebles out of the fish's mouth. So again, actually my medium heavy Psycho Stick, which behaves almost more like a medium, does a really, really good job with these topwater walking baits. It is the setup that I learned to do topwater baits with. So Akuma Psycho Stick with the Akuma Helios SX reel, really good at casting, getting that thing out there and walking it back. You could even use the crankbait setup I was talking about. Just go for something that's like medium, medium heavy. Go for like more of a fast action to a moderate action. You don't need to jack their jaw. You actually want that fish to really sip that bait, kind of take it under a little bit, and then lean on them. Lean into it, much like you do with a crankbait. You're gonna lose less fish that way, and then it's harder for them to shake it on the way back to the boat as well. So nothing super heavy, no extra fast action stuff that's gonna cause you to miss more fish. Did we do it? We did it. We went through all the baits in my bag. So there you go. Those are all the baits. That's how I'd rig them. Those are the setups I'd use them with. And we even rigged some plastics. So hopefully this video is helpful for you guys. Hopefully when you get your bag from Monster Bass this month, you can literally grab it, grab your setups that we talked about today, go hit the water and just smack them. I wish you the best of luck. I hope you have a great time on the water. Of course, remember to subscribe to Monster Bass if you want to see more videos like this, and smash a like on this video, ring that notification bell, and if you'd be so kind, hop over to my channel, Burley Fishing, and throw me a subscribe as well. I'd love to see you on one of my newer videos dropping this week. We do videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we go live Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm live on YouTube, and before us, Monster Bass is live at 7 p.m. Eastern. So hop on there, talk to us, engage in chat. It's a blast. I look forward to those lives every single week, and I'd love to see you there and talk to you. Thanks for watching today, you guys, and we'll see you on the next video.